All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Readinĝ Business Academy. We're going to do a reading session today. We're going to read some books. All right. Vera, read. Business. Academy. Where we teach children 5 years to 17 about business, raw and uncut. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to read from Booker T. Washington's book, The Negro in Business. We're also going to read from Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson and Think and Grow Rich, The Black Choice by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. So we'll be reading those books periodically, and I'll tell my students reading is the most powerful thing you can do. All right, so I'm going to start with Powernomics right now by Dr. Claude Anderson. What we're going to do, we're going to go to chapter 1. All right. Chapter 1, racism, monopolies, and inappropriate behavior. All right, we're going to do a Alice in Wonderland little skit. Alice, which road do I take? Chester Cat, where do you want to go? Alice, I don't know. Chester Cat, then it doesn't matter which road you're going to take. So we're going to start chapter 1, the challenges we faced. As the Cheshire Cat said to Alice, who was lost in a Wonderland fantasy, it doesn't matter much which road you take if you don't know where you're going. It is time for Black Americans to take a good hard look at where they have come from and where they are going. Are they moving forward or standing still? After centuries of participating in protests, marches, race riots, and demonstrations, and pushing for integration and passage of an endless number of civil rights laws, Black Americans are increasingly sensing that something is wrong. They question whether or not they are on the right road. A comparative analysis of our socio-economic condition shows that Black Americans have entered the new millennium much the same way they entered the previous 4 centuries, as an impoverished, powerless, and neglected people. Since these have yet to be any programs, since there have yet to be any programs and public policies specifically offered to eliminate the plight of the Black masses, their future, like their past, looks bleak. Amidst a rising tide of white conservatism, the wealth and income gap between majority white societies and Blacks are widening. Nearly a half century after the Supreme Court ordered racial desegregation, Black Americans still bear 6 to 8 times their proportional share of poverty, broken homes, homelessness, criminal incarceration, unemployment, and other social pathologies. Desegregation should have been about redistribution, wealth, power, and resources, not social integration. Social integration has only addressed the symptoms of our dilemma rather than the causes, as indicated in Figure 1. It is extremely difficult for Black people to progress when the same hands that held the whip still hold almost all of the wealth power. So let me give you let me show you what figure 1 is. This is figure 1. Come from behind my desk. That's figure 1. If you can read it, I'll take the time to let you see it so you can read it. That's figure 1. All right, so figure 1. During centuries of black enslavement and Jim Crow, semi-slavery, the majority of society secured and retained its inherited advantages, while a black minority inherited the legacy of disadvantage in this race-based society. Whites acquired ownership and control of nearly everything of value, as well as a system for keeping blacks non-competitive and powerless. The sheer existence and size of a growing black underclass is prima facie evidence of institutionalized racism that manipulates symbols, resources, and power to advantage whites over blacks. Now, I'm going to stop right there because I know you like, why is all this, he's saying all this? That couldn't possibly be true. This man is a doctor. He studied this. He was in government. He was in teaching, and he wrote books. The first book I ever read was Black Labor, White Wealth. Then I seen the Powernomics lecture. The Powernomics lecture is on YouTube. If you listen to that Powernomics lecture and then cross-reference everything he said, you'll be like, wait a minute. Out of all this education I got out here, I did not know what he just said until I started cross-referencing. So he also has this book, Powernomics, which is great book. He also has Dirty Little Secrets, and he does a lot of different lectures. So he's one of my heroes. He really opened my eyes up to what I didn't know. And when it comes to business, we're trying to make sure that our young people have the advantage at a young age to be free and to be able to go into business. But the main thing about that, you have to be able to talk to one another. See, that's the key. Even though you have a product or you have a service, you can't make no money unless you develop salesmanship. And salesmanship comes from smiling first and then actually addressing people's needs. But you have to like people. You have to love your people to be able to work with their needs. And whatever their needs are is a potential business. But lately in our society, we got people out here with all these attitudes. They work for others. And they walk around with all these attitudes. So if you have an attitude working for somebody else, you'll never be in business for yourself because you have to have an attitude of service. Even Martin Luther King talked about service. He talked about Jesus. It's about service. Not to take it to that level, but actually I am taking it to that level. But anyway, it's about service. So I'm going to continue reading from right now. The reality of Black America's dilemma is that they are predestined to become a permanent underclass if they do not break free of the numerous disadvantages they have inherited. Blacks should get off the social road to nowhere. There are no yellow brick roads to the future, nor will blacks simply stumble into wealth and power in a competitive society. To find a better road requires blacks to unlearn old behaviors, models, strategies, and learn helplessness in race matters. Blacks must understand the nature of the competitive race and make a radical metamorphosis. They must decide where they want to go. Get out front of their competitors and work hard to get there first. If blacks compete, they can expect to succeed and survive in the race for wealth and power. Now I'm gonna stop right there, put a bookmark in there. And I want to talk to you about the importance and how powerful reading is. Now, reading got us out of slavery. The lack of reading put us back into mental slavery. That's why when I learned how to read when I was a young man, it was just so beautiful to me. And my mom, she always had books around. She had the bathroom set up for me. When you go into the restroom, there was all kind of stuff to read while using the restroom. Because when I was younger, I had a problem learning how to be potty trained. I would be outside playing and wouldn't even come use the bathroom. Or I would be studying something or whatever, trying to do something, and wouldn't want to go to the bathroom. So my mom went to the doctor, was like, I'm getting tired of punishing him for using the bathroom on himself. So, and I'm just being straight up with y'all. So, and I didn't find out later on in life what my mom did because she didn't tell me. The doctor said, what does he like to do? She said, he loves to read. He said, oh, so why don't you do this? Set the bathroom up as a library. So when he goes, he will want to go to the restroom and grab a book and read it. Till the day my mom died, her bathroom was always, especially in the basement, it was always filled with newspaper articles, books, magazines, everything. When you sat down, you could read almost anything. And when she did that, it helped me to get rid of the dilemma that was in our household, because I would love to go to the restroom and read. Because she had everything, she just made, it was just a library and poster boards. She just had everything that you could sit down and read. Then she told me later on in life when I was in my 40s. She was like, yeah, well, I set that bathroom up for, it was a reason, it's a method to the madness. And when she did that, I was reading and obtaining knowledge after knowledge. She also used to put me to bed. At 8 o'clock, you had to go to bed. Yeah, it wasn't about you being sleepy. You going to bed at 8 o'clock. And then I found out as a parent, you have to put your children to bed at a certain time so you can have a peace of mind. So you can say, okay, my child's in bed. Now I can handle other things in the house and I can relax. You don't have your kids up all night. So when she did that, I wasn't sleepy. So what I used to do, I used to take the curtain, pull it back, and I would read from the street light until I read myself to sleep. Plus, I used to get on punishment because I was so bad. You know, I was real smart, so I used to get straight A's and 3 minuses on my report card. But my mom used to put me on punishment. You got a week or 2 weeks in the room. No radio, no TV, anything. So what I would do, instead of losing my mind, I would get in there and read. And I would always have, a library of books to read. Even when I had to go to the grocery store with her to carry the bags back in the house. When we went to the grocery store, I was grabbing Chronicles, I was grabbing Ebony magazines, I was grabbing whatever I can to go, when I going back into my so-called cell, that I was going to be reading. So I really developed a habit and a stronger love and thirst for knowledge. And to this day, that's all I do. So the emphasis of the Vera Reed Business Academy, will be reading. That's the main number one thing, will be reading. That's what we're going to be working on when it comes to, because what we have is a stream program. Science, technology, realty, economics, art, which is art and music, and mathematics, all based on business. So that's what you'll be receiving in the Vera Reed Business Academy. So we're going to close out right now, and we're going to come back to it. So subscribe, stay with us. We'll talk to you soon.